This is a very unique model in the fact that when you do develop it, it has to be, pretty well rounded in all sense of the terms, even the UVs. So we're going to kind of look at UVs. It's a good, now that I have this as a lesson, I would love to have it as an example too. So we're going to have an extra video in here for UVs, just how to do it. And here in the UDK, I'm going to show you why you don't use automatic mapping. I always have that. Why don't you use automatic mapping? So in this case, I'm just going to jump into this cave. And here's what automatic mapping looks like. Okay, I can look around and I can see all these seams everywhere. See the seams. Everything's really big. And that is because of the scale of the texture corresponding to the UVs. So if I look here in Maya, let's look at what automatic mapping looks like. This is what the UVs look like in automatic mapping world. Okay? Ugh. And you can see these things, these puzzle pieces. The minute I have these, that seam is very noticeable. Alright, so how do I handle something like this? Well, very easy. First off, edit, delete by type history. Make sure you turn off backface culling. So you don't want to use that when developing UVs. It's kind of a pain. And then I'm just going to jump into the top view and do a thing called a planar map. And a planar map's just going to take a top-down view of the actual geometry, and I got to make sure that everything's visible. There we go. Let's go into UV texture editor and look what that looks like. Ooh. So with this button turned on, this shows all the meshes that are colliding with each other. Okay, the shells are on stacked, and we don't want that to happen. Also, the red right here indicates some weirdness going on in those general areas that are even worse than what's expected. So I might want to look around and make sure that everything's okay here. I'm going to separate, and I'm going to find out that I might have some issues, maybe. There we go. I had to separate, and you can see that's a little bit better. Again, we're looking for the red, not reddish purple, but bright red would be indicating that something's weird going on, and I had to separate and then redo it. Alright, cool. All the ins and outs. I love it. We have to develop a seam, and we're going to develop a seam that is going around the model, but in an area that's probably going to have a seam anyway. So the floor connecting to the wall would be a good location for a seam to be occurring. Just like that. So what I'm going to do here is take and cut that in the UV texture editor. Then I'm going to take my shells apart. So to take my shells apart, I highlight one solitary UV, control right click to shell, hit W, pull that off. Now I should have a red one and a blue one, but there should be no purple or weird things going on. I want to take red and turn it to blue. To do that, I flip it. Just like that. Okay. I will get this occurring now. That's all right. That's saying that they are overlapping in some manner. They are, because here when I took this picture, this surface caves in right here. So those red ones or purple ones are indicated as below right in this area. We have to do an unfolding, it's called. So here's how you unfold. Take your UVs and grab them. You can't do this all at once either. And it has to be blue starting out. with just a little bit of purple. Okay, I'm just going to click the unfold button. Another thing I like the tool is the lasso tool for this, because then I can go like this. Okay, that's much better. So let me try to get that on this side. Again, you don't want to do too much at once, but sometimes you can get away with it. Okay, the next thing we have to do is kind of look at it as the overall, is it going to support the same amount of texture space everywhere? That's a little bit different of a story, and not to be answered in one video alone. So we're going to look at another video upon how to do the UVs for a cave, and then we'll hop back into our normal routine of what we're really learning, which is level design. All right, so meet me in the next video where I show you how to uniform your UVs.